Welcome to the No Psych, No Excuses podcast, where we have real, raw, authentic conversation. Here's your host, Kijuan Amey. Welcome, guys. Come on in. Let's get a fire going because today is going to be a little fireside chat type talk. Why do I say that? Because today's going to be a little bit different. We're going to talk about something that's real out here in these streets, guys. Depression. Guys, it's so real. The suicidal thoughts that come along with it is so real. And we're about to get real today. So I want y'all to buckle in. This is going to be a little gut-wrenching, heartwarming, those touching, feeling, we just got to talk about it moments, okay? And we're going to call this episode The Season of Depression. If you've ever just had those silent, dark moments and thoughts and just hopes and dreams, like you just feel like everything just getting pulled away. Everything is just getting pulled away. You feel like you're in a dark moment, a dark day and age. I remember those days because I used to have them. After I had my accident, man, trust me, I had the depression and the suicidal thoughts. Trust me. So we gonna get into it, but not before I welcome in my guest. Yes, I have a guest today, guys. He is not only a content creator, but he's also a writer. He is also the host of PSA, the Mental Health Podcast. Mr. Izzy Baker, will you please bring yourself home to the stage?
What's going on?
What's happening, my guy? How are you doing?
I am good. I'm good. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. This is a really serious and touchy topic for me, not just because of my own personal battles with depression, but also because of just the simple fact that I've dealt with other people battling depression. Because I mean, easy, but some other people may not know. I'm a mentor for the Air Force Wounded Warriors program, man, and it's crazy. People go through these bouts quite a bit, honestly. It's actually pretty sad how often they do. But it's one of those things we overlook and nobody really talks about. You know what I mean? And I tell people, well, now for sure I do because I'm out. But I tell people all the time that as soon as you go check yourself into that mental health clinic in the military, they look at you funny.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me funny? Because I'm actually going to seek help when you probably need to as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we probably need to walk in holding hands, together to do this thing. But you want to look at me funny.
Right.
As my pastor would say, you so busy looking at the twig in my eye that you can't see the tree stump in yours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's crazy, man, when I think about those things and how serious this is because, and we're going to dive into it because, we got some questions coming up, but people are losing their lives to this thing, man. And it's serious. We're not just talking about this just because it's something to talk about. We're talking about this. This is a serious topic, man. Like, I don't even understand. Not just adults either. Children.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you think your child is just in there, chilling, watching TV, playing their video games, whatever. Next thing you know, you trying to figure out why they ain't came to dinner. It's because they done off themselves, man. They've unalived themselves. And that is probably the worst thing, first off, you've ever wanted to hear, but it's serious.
Yeah.
And so, man, I won't harp on it too long because I want to get your questions in and have you talk about what it is we brought you here for today, man. And we're going to have a great discussion. I know we are because it's always a good time on this podcast, the No Psych, No Excuses podcast. And I am now officially welcoming you into the No Excuse Zone.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Izzy, I know you a little bit, I just want the people out there to know who you are. You know what I'm saying? So I just going to go ahead and open up the floor to you. Go ahead and let the people know who you are out here.
All right. So he already introduced me so well, the Shannon Sharp introduction. But yeah, podcast host, PSA the Mental Podcast. I've been podcasting since 2018 before people knew what podcasting was. I remember I feel like I was trying to sell my podcast back in the day, where they used to be trying to get people to listen, like, hey, you check out my podcast. People like, what's a
Yeah.
podcast?
Yeah.
And so now in the world of me, like I said, 'cause it's been around technically since 2004. Most people don't know that. But I feel like it became a trend around the 2020s. And then, now everybody has a podcast, but
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
everybody has a podcast with substance.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's
Right.
something that people have to know. But I am from St. Louis. I live in Houston, Texas. I am now a full-time entrepreneur. I was a teacher for 6.5 years. And, God has a funny way of doing things because the school I worked at, which I, you know, thought then and even realized even more now was prophetic. The school I worked at literally shut down.
Mm.
And the end of 2023, or when the school year ended in May 2023, and I've just launched out there in my own, doing my ghostwriting service and doing my podcasting and just trying to build up my clientele so I can stay afloat. It's rough, I
Mhm.
have moments, it's just really about staying consistent with me because, like I said, when you get some consistency, you can kind of move around it. But the thing that I can say is, although I've never dealt with seasonal depression per se, I've witnessed people deal with seasonal depression, and being a full-time entrepreneur brings about seasons of depression in different ways. So, um, I think that was a nice setup there that just jumped out. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, you could say go back to work. It's funny because one of my services is I offer resumes for the people, and guess what? I get everybody the best jobs in the world, but guess who can't get a job? Me.
That's
So
crazy.
right? I don't believe in science, so
You're right.
I don't believe
Right.
in coincidences. That's the one.
There you go. Don't believe in coincidences, man. It's all happening for a reason. Trust me.
Yeah, but
But yeah, so great introduction for sure. But it's crazy how that happens, though, man. You feel like, man, I should be able to get a job, right? I know I can get everybody else one.
right,
I dang sure can't get myself one. But
right,
hey, listen, I figured, um, if it's not happening for me, that's because it's not for me.
yeah,
You know what I mean? As the songwriter said, what God has for me, it is for me.
right.
And so if it's not happening for me, that was not for me, and it wasn't sent from God. If I'm fighting that hard, it ain't for me.
Yeah.
So, and moving right along, man. I know in your podcast, you've already openly discussed, your bouts with depression. But when officially did you like realize this wasn't just exhaustion? This was actually depression.
So actually, what happened was a lot of my things, my depression. So I was actually diagnosed in 2016 with
Mhm.
depression and anxiety. And so that was when my senior, last semester of college, or going into the last semester of college. And really, I actually had it as a child. I think it's internalized. I internalized a lot of things as a child, and I just kind of, and of course, I'm an only child, so a lot of times parents will say, "Well, we should just talk about it." But a lot of times, what people fail to realize, especially parents, any parent out there listening, your child doesn't want to tell you because they don't feel comfortable telling you that.
Mhm.
And so, a lot of times, a parent will think, "Well, they should talk to me. I'm open and I'm asked." It doesn't matter. They pay attention to the things that you say. You know what I mean? That you don't realize you just said. And you might have made fun of something that they're going through.
Yeah.
You might have heard the church mom, which I heard my mom say, and I'm sure other black kids and, heard their parents say, oh, anybody wants to commit, suicide, they're just selfish. That's just selfish. And you're going straight to hell. So why would
Mm-mm-mm.
I tell you that I'm struggling with that if you just was so strong about how bad it is? You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Why would I feel comfortable telling you that? And
Yeah.
so it's like with the whole depression thing, and of course, too, what are you depressed about? You don't have no bills to pay, and as crazy as it sounds,
Boy,
I had more depression as a child than I did as an adult with bills. And
man.
also with that too, growing up, and I made this joke, and I'm so serious. I told my homeboy the other day. I said the way the adults around me complained about being an adult, I said I wanted to be a Toys R Us kid forever. I remember being in fourth or fifth grade at lunch, and I can't wait to grow up. I can't wait to grow up. And I remember saying, I want to be a kid forever. I
Mm.
said, and I remember making a joke like I said, I wanted to be like Timmy Turner and wish I could be this age forever because the adults complained every other day.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, y'all got that. But I think that getting back to the question and
Mhm.
moving on, hopefully, I think that for me, when I was diagnosed 2016, I remember with the whole thoughts of suicide leading up to that point and then just depression. And I just remember waking up one day saying, I'm tired of feeling this way. And so when I hear people, when I say things about suicide and depression, sometimes I think people may think I'm saying it from a place of, oh, I read it on a piece of paper. It's like, no, I lived it. So I know what it feels like, but
Mhm.
you have to get tired of that feeling, and you usually do, and that's why sometimes people take it to the next other level. But for me, I was like, I have to do something about this, and thankfully, I was in school and therapy was free because therapy is expensive. But as I
Mhm.
say on my podcast a lot of times these jobs cover your therapy. It's in the benefits, and especially that
Mhm.
was 2016, so especially more of them do now, and a lot of these colleges cover it as well. So if you have it for free, even if you just always was curious about it, I say just go, just because why not? Because I've been in therapy 2 different times. I went in 2016 and I went again because of the job I worked at when I was a teacher in 2021.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good take, man. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. When you said that about your mom saying, suicide is basically selfish, I was like, wait, what?
Mhm.
It's not so much selfish as it is nobody seems to be seeing them.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. Usually when somebody takes their own life, it's because they're not being seen. They're not being assisted. They're not being helped. And they feel like, well, what else? Well, you obviously don't care, so I might as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Usually that's the usual side of it. Yeah, you do have your one offs, but it's like the most people I've encountered who've had these thoughts of suicidal and depression. Man, listen, there's usually a statement that comes either before, whether it's written or verbally stated, that's talking about how somebody either does not love them, somebody does is not like looking out for them, they don't care about them. It's usually pointing about somebody else. And then they say, well, I might as well just end it all. Or they're getting ragged on at work, ragged on at home, like you mentioned. Like I felt the worst at home. Like some people don't understand that, especially as far as kids. You can say what you want. Oh, you don't pay no bills. What you got to worry about? I got a lot to worry about.
Yeah.
I got to grow up in this house with you. You know what I mean? I got a lot to worry about. I got to make sure I bring on the grades you want me to bring home. I got to make sure I make it as safely at school because there might be a bully that's trying to, fight me. You never know
Right.
what's going on in a child's life until what? You talk to them. And if you can't even have a conversation at home without it being diminishing, without it being downplayed, without it being, oh, you're just talking about, oh, back in my day. What about back in your day? It's not your day anymore. It's
Yeah.
mine. And now I'm dealing with something that is real. And that's where I draw the line in regards to like people trying to tell someone, and I do this with my mentoring as well. People trying to tell somebody that, oh yeah, but no, there's no but in my situation
Right.
because my situation is not your situation. And that's what we have to understand. It's not the same. So you can't just downplay it like it was like, it's nothing. Come
Yeah.
on now. I just wanted to touch on that because I don't think that's selfish at all. I just think that people don't realize how serious the situations truly are, and then they downplay it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I definitely will wholeheartedly agree with the therapy though, because
Yeah.
I sought that as well. So I wholeheartedly agree with that. It can be pricey, but I don't know anything about that.
Right, because so you because of the military, it was free.
Yeah, yeah. So
before and after.
military, they have a whole mental health clinic. There's
Yeah.
a whole mental health clinic, but also I didn't start receiving my mental therapy until after,
Hmm.
and I got it paid for because it was coming from my traumatic brain injury. That
Right.
was a
Okay.
part of the reason I got out of the military.
Right.
So it was attached, which means y'all got to fix this too.
Yeah.
It's just showing up. You know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like a a continuation type
Right.
thing. You know
Okay.
what I mean? So yeah, there are ways that your companies and stuff can pay for this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just military, it's not just law enforcement. It's not just first responders. There are so many different things. Like even I'm pretty sure like school, like what I'm trying to say, like schooling, colleges. I'm pretty sure they can do that. There are so many reasons you could say, I need help.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because I'm thankful that, pivoting with this because both of us had experienced that and we're on the other side of it. But then there are
Mhm.
many people who look like us that did not. I
Yeah.
have two friends that did not get a
Hmm.
chance to make it on the other side.
Yeah.
On my podcast, I had two episodes on my one in 2021, and I did somewhat of a follow-up this year. And the timing is strange because I have two friends that lost suicide, one in 2021 and one actually a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
And when my first homeboy passed in 2021, I did an episode on my podcast titled "Is Suicide Selfish?" And then maybe a month before my other friend passed, I did a follow up to that same episode 4 years later, titled "Is Ending It All Selfish?" which was a part two to the part one.
Hmm.
And it's interesting that both of them were made in the years that both my friends,
Oh
decided
man.
to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because the one who just did it recently, he was, he was in the military. He had,
Mm.
was in the army. So I had wondered, you know, because sometimes people wonder about therapy not, costing too much. I wonder would it have been, you know, free for him, but he was one of those people that didn't really open up a lot. So I
Hmm.
think that he just didn't know what to do.
See,
And
and see that's my thing. Like they don't really advertise those things unless they like the main thing you hear a lot about military PTSD. Okay. Yes, there's PTSD in so many different forms, but we only think about one if you really want to get real.
yeah,
We only think about one, and that's going to combat.
right.
There's so many different forms of PTSD. I have PTSD from a motorcycle accident. It's that's not combat related at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
even a little bit. And so the other thing about that is, and this is a stigma that I really, really hate, and I hope one day we could get rid of it, but I doubt it because there's too many machismos in the freaking military. I wish we could get rid of, like I mentioned earlier, just because you saw me at mental health, or just because I requested to go to mental health, that I'm now an outcast.
Right.
I should be seen as somebody who's trying to seek freaking help.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with me. And you
Exactly.
should be like, you know what? You're right. Go ahead, man. Let me sign this paper for you. Or you know what? Go ahead. I will see you when you get back. We will keep this under wraps and you can go talk to the first sergeant. That's who will deal with you from now on. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
But that's not how it always is. And I'm sure, dude, I wish I could have spoke to your friend before because I'm almost guaranteed that the reason he didn't go seek mental health is because he thought he would have felt weak.
Hmm.
And I say that because that's what it is in the military. That's how they view it. That's weak. Bro, no, I'm trying to stay alive.
Right.
Now that's the selfish part. The fact that you're calling me weak for wanting to go see it. That's selfish.
Yeah.
But so I wish, man, I could have had that chance. And God rest his soul, by the way. Sending all love and condolences to his family, man, for sure, in this podcast. But sheesh. Don't get me started because I will go in on the
Yeah,
military and the way they think, man. It's not cool. It's
yeah.
really not.
And with knowing that, that even probably sheds more light to why, you know, he didn't, because like I said, he was very quiet.
Mhm,
And he's one of those people, because like I tell people when I describe him, he's one of those people who, you know, I'm extra, I'm all over the top. That's just me. But I've had students like him, I have family members like him, and I've had friends like him before. And those that are very standoffish, but once they get to know you, they open up. And he
mhm,
had opened up to me about some things, but I looking back, and again, I can't like beat myself over the head about it, but I wonder if he did that with the intent of knowing I had the podcast and maybe wanted me to pry. Because some people in those situations, they want you to force it out of them. Even
mhm,
if they resist and they want you to force it out of them. And it was like, you know, I was just like, I didn't think, which again, I can't beat myself up over that. But
mhm,
it's just moving forward. My prayer is just that having two friends that did that, one from back home and then one from out here, I was just like, Lord, let that be the last one. And if nothing else, that you can make it to where you can't talk everybody out of it, but what you can do is you can pray, because prayer does change things. I know people are, oh, I don't know. No, it does. And if I can know, God can reveal to me, you know, maybe this person may be feeling this way, I could go home and I can just really pray the heavens down
mhm,
for them, just to, you know, realize like, hey, you know, give them a revelation of, you are worthy, you are worth it. Let
mhm.
somebody call them and say this. Let this happen today that makes
Yeah.
them say, you know, maybe I am something. Because so many men are just not going to talk about it out of fear of, and not knowing. He in the second, you know, my second homeboy who was in the military, knowing how they view it. So now it's like, okay, well, yeah, now I really don't want to say nothing. I don't want to look away because you care what people think about you. And me personally, I don't really care what people think about me, but trust me, I used to. It was
Mhm,
I went from one extreme to the other. I probably should care a little more.
mhm.
But that didn't happen overnight. And I'm aware that everyone doesn't think like me. So
Right. Yeah. Nah,
it's
man.
yeah.
I tell you, it's crazy because yeah, no, you're right. Definitely. Gosh, it just sucks, man, because those are some of the signs, like people that kind of isolate.
Mm-hmm.
Those are usually signs, like warning signs. They isolate. They're not really being themselves. Limited conversation. Just things like that. And you got, hey man, what's going on, man? No. Hey, let's go grab a bite to eat.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta do. Because most people start talking over food, brother.
Yeah.
I can't make that up. I know you might want to add that the special elixir
Yeah.
because that'll open them up too. But you could just do food and people will open up. Just y'all two. Don't invite a whole bunch of people because it's again going to make them isolate.
Yeah.
Just one on one. And I promise you, man, you're gonna hear something. And it's not just me and you. This is just for everybody listening. You'll hear something just one on one. I had this happen when I was in my depression state and my uncle came. It was
Mm-hmm.
just me and him one on one. Cause we was in my grandma's house. It was me, him, and my grandma. He said, hey man, put on some clothes. Let's go somewhere.
Yeah.
Cause it was only three of us. It wasn't like it was a whole crowd. He was like, nah, I just want to be me and you. Men talk. Let's do
Yeah.
it. That changed my life, bruh.
Yeah.
And I put that in my book. It changed my life. And I'm still here because of it.
That's all.
So yeah, it's some serious things to think about.
Yeah. Definitely. You know, it's interesting because, you know, because of the weather, you know, because the weather outside is frightful. And, and you know, this is the time where seasonal depression does start. And, you know, I have to ask you, when the weather changes, do you start to instantly feel like a little more like moodier? You know, how do you feel about
Definitely. So when it's colder, I get to that point where I'm like, it's more of a, I don't know if it's a mood as is. It might just be the fact that I don't even want to do much.
it? Okay.
It's
That's
like,
what it is.
it's cold. I ain't doing it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Or you can. Don't get me wrong. I have seen more people either get warm Like they want to warm up to you and talk more, like social type things, like chatting, just those types of things when it comes down to, because these are also the seasons of where things slow down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, the holidays it ramps up, but like right now it's kind of slow. The buildup comes a week before Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
then it slows back down.
Yeah.
Then the buildup builds up again a week before Christmas, you know. And so it's kind of like one of those things because you're in these high low peak valley seasons right now. Boy, you got to catch people on those valleys. I'm gonna tell you why, because they be like, "Whoo, I don't know if I want to do that again." I, I hear that so much after Thanksgiving. I don't know if I want to host for Thanksgiving no more. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
It could be a lot.
Yeah, like things like that, or oh man, like after Christmas, whoo, I spent way too much this year.
Mm-hmm.
And what? Now I'm going off on a little tangent, but
Okay.
with Christmas,
Yeah.
why? I feel like that's more for kids to be getting a bunch of gifts, man. Listen, I ain't gonna talk about this too long because I don't want nobody to understand who I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay.
But what I will say is, I went to a family gathering, and they was listen. We was passing out gifts for 2 hours, bro.
Wow.
2 hours. We had ate before we started doing that, right? Gift
Mhm.
exchange. After we finished the gift exchange, I was hungry again.
It
Come on, man.
was time for dessert.
No.
No, he wanted
I'm
food.
literally ready for another plate, bro.
Yeah.
we can't even do it. I want some more chicken. I want some more turkey. I want some more macaroni. Like literally, I was hungry again. Stomach
Mhm.
growling and all, bro. I wish
Yeah.
I was lying to you. And I don't usually get hungry that quick.
Yeah.
My metabolism is actually pretty good about that, but it don't show. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Right. Yeah.
So but what I'm getting at is, yo, I get the kids, getting a bunch of gifts. It
Yeah.
was 1, 2, maybe 4. I think 4 children there.
Hmm. 4. Quattro.
Hey, listen, man. It wasn't them children getting all these gifts.
It was
Tell you that right now.
people.
I'm telling you that right now. Hey, I can love you without giving you a bunch of gifts now.
Yeah.
Trust me. Because once I outgrow these gifts, guess what? That's money out the door.
Yeah.
We could have used that to win on the trip or something. Like I just want people to understand, yes, you could give a gift. Maybe 2. But to pour a bunch of gifts on adults, if they don't need it for like a household item, you know what I'm saying? Like I just got me a new apartment, a new house, stuff like that. If it ain't no housewarming, listen, what are we doing? Because times are hard. Ish is hitting the fan. And I'm just wanting people to know love here, not monetarily.
Right. Yeah.
That's actually the problem right now. We keep loving with the money versus with the heart.
Right.
And so and that could actually tie right back into this conversation of suicide because people feel like, man, I don't really see, ain't nobody showing me love.
Yeah.
Hey, show me love. How Tupac said.
I think a lot of times people, it sounds cliche, but I think sometimes people really just need a hug.
Yes.
Me, I'm a little awkward. So like somebody like I had a homeboy, he knew about my friend's situation. He was just like, you need a hug, you need a hug. I'm like, okay, you're gonna make it awkward. No. But because I'm just like, don't touch me. But that's
I'm
just
gonna
me.
squeeze you like a teddy bear when I see you.
But I was just like, it's just sad because those types of people, you probably needed to force him into one. Me not so much. Me, you might flip you, but I'll appreciate it. But I might
Well,
flip you
see, the
down.
thing and the other thing about that, I'm glad you mentioned it. Him, your friend that passed away. Military, we don't do that.
Yeah.
We can't hug. That's considered a sign of PDA, public display of affection.
Yeah.
Are you serious? You know what I mean? Like they want you to be, especially in uniform, you have to be military until you take that sucker off. And so usually, because majority of the day, guess what you're wearing? That uniform. So now your brain is always thinking, well, I'm in my uniform. Because that's how I trust me, I remember. That's how I felt when I was on active duty. I'm still in my uniform. Because they made you feel like that. Remember, even when you take this uniform off, you're representing the United States Air Force. I'm like, dang, I can't even take this sucker off. You know what I'm saying? And I swear, like everywhere I went, I remember this real quick. An example. I was not even in uniform, but I was on base.
Okay.
Wasn't even my base. I was on an installation, a U.S. Air Force base, and I had an earring in my ears. And this chief, I think he was a chief master sergeant or something. He was a E8 or E9, one of the two. Walks up to me. I'm in, where were we at? Base house? Something. It was some base establishment. It was one part of the base. Because again, it wasn't my base. I can't really remember. And we were trying to get somebody. But anyway, he walks over there to us because he realized, you know what, by your haircut, you can understand whether somebody's in the military or not, especially back then. Now it's kind of all over the place. But back then, when I was in, you could tell by their haircut that you was in the military because it had to be a certain length, couldn't touch the ears, this, that, blah, blah, blah. So he walks up to us. He says, I'm gonna need you to take that earring out of your ear. I looked right back at him and I said, why?
Oh.
He said, because you're on a U.S. Air Force base. I said, sir, according to AFI 36-36 or 2903, I do not. I am not in uniform. It does not say I have to wear or take it out when I'm on a base. It says I can't wear it in uniform.
Right.
I ain't never seen somebody shut up so quick in my life. Because I quoted the reg. You came up with a problem. You didn't come up as if you knew what you were talking about. You came up with a whole problem with me.
Yeah.
And might I add, he was not this color.
I was just about to ask you. I was like, did he look like you?
I'm just gonna throw it in there. Okay. I'm just gonna throw the flag on the play.
Okay.
And so I knew he was heading straight for me. V-line. Because I was actually nervous about wearing it, to be honest. And so, like I say, when I said, sir, according to AFI 36-2903, I do not have to take this earring out of my ear because I do not have on my Air Force uniform. Just because I'm on the installation does not mean that. Because there could be teenage children who are just the Air Force members' children on this base. And you're telling them they got to take an earring out? That's not how that works. This is somebody who wears the uniform and is in uniform that has to do that. Yeah, man, trust me. I done had some moments.
Yeah, and you always had a mouth. That I know. That didn't just come out of the
well, I ain't gonna say I just had the moments. I wasn't always like super. Only time I'm gonna be super verbal is if you're really coming at me with nonsense. And that was nonsense. I was like, that's wrong, sir.
You just picking.
Yeah, you tripping. You tripping. So, but I want to move forward because we'll be talking all day.
Yeah, but it's still needed because these military conversations are needed. Speaking of, my first homeboy, he wasn't in the military, but the second one was. And I think now that these stories you telling and all this, I think that had a lot to do with it. Underlined, that was some of the foundation. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I definitely like this next question right here, though.
Okay.
You often say that mental health is men's silent battle.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many men struggle? And I would say, especially the black men,
Yeah.
struggle to talk about, depression and suicidal thoughts?
So, kind of going back to the roots of like the podcast, right? So, most people don't know is my dad is a counselor. He's been a counselor at high schools forever, and he was a coach too, guidance counselor coach. Crazy mix, but
Mhm.
what it is, what it is. So, when I first started my podcast, I remember I wanted it to just be. I started at 23. I'm now 31. And I wanted it to be a podcast where I wanted people to be able to agree to disagree, because so many people were just stuck in their ways at 23 at that time. And I just technically 22. And I was just so confused. It's like, you're this age, why are you stuck at that? So as I started to, talk about wanting to blend comedy and, sense of humor with, thinking outside the box, critical thinking. And then my dad said, that's mental health. And
Mhm.
I was like, is it? Because at the time, when most people, even to today, when they hear mental health, because they hear me talk about mental health, they say, well, you're not a therapist, you're not a life coach. No, but the definition of mental health is the study of how we act, think, and feel.
Yeah.
So everyone has mental health, but not everyone has mental illness.
Mm.
So most people do not know that. So it is a silent battle, because a lot of times we do have those friends where, me, I'm like, with my podcast, the goal is to, I'm on this journey, and I look at, I have solo episodes, which the last few episodes of my podcast have been solo, leading up to this series that's about to come up. But it is, I have like a Venn diagram. My
Mhm.
guests are usually those in the wellness or mental health space. And then on the other side, they're either just young millennial men who, are like me, have these same questions. Where on one side, I might have an episode about how to conquer, low self-esteem with my homeboy who was just a vlogger. Then on the other side, we have an anxiety coach who is a, licensed professional teaching us the strategy how to overcome anxiety. But then we have, with the Venn diagram, there's the middle part, where it's like the person who's a little bit of both, who is the young millennial male, who is a licensed therapist, who is a counselor. So I like to have the diversity there.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say it's a silent battle, because we don't see people talking about it enough. And sometimes I think that things speak to our subconscious. And if you see more people like me who, I don't, if you listen to my podcast, you've been on twice in one season, crazy, and you're able to see, I don't talk from an angle of I'm better than anybody. I talk about it like we're on the same page, and I don't have all the answers. And and I do call myself out and say, I probably shouldn't have did that. Because one thing is, I'm all about accountability. I'd rather a person say I was dead wrong and don't care, and you're not getting an apology, than to make excuses like they didn't do anything, especially a
Mhm.
man. But it's just a silent battle ultimately, because people don't want to have the conversations, or they feel like no one cares. And I remember going to a podcast, and I bring it up all the time. And I remember I was at this event, and my homeboy, he was asking my podcast, and he was like, and he asked honest question. He said, do you think your target audience cares about what you're talking about? I said, they do care about it, they just don't realize they do. And also, a lot of them secretly want to talk about it, because if they didn't, why are there so many young black men who are committing suicide?
Mhm.
So clearly they want to care, even if they act like they don't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, man, this is like I say, a really good question. And the reason I say it is also not just because of what you just laid out, but because I had a conversation years back with my dad, and we were talking on the phone, man, and he was like, "How you doing, man?" I said, "I'm doing good." This was back when I was doing my mental therapy and stuff, and he was really going through it, like, and he still is, but like for the mental side of it, man, it was just like someone's eating him up, and I was like, "Why don't you try to, go to mental therapy or mental health or something?" He was like, "Man, this stuff don't work for me, man. I'm too old now." I said, "Well, if you keep thinking like that, it'll be that way."
And that's the problem. And you know what? I hate to interrupt again, but like I talked to somebody recently, and I saw it was a video from Miles Monroe, and he
Mm,
made a comment about, the things that usually anger you are what God has called you to fight against. One thing that really angers me is seeing so many black folks who, feel like this is it, like they're okay with complacency. And really
mhm,
not even gonna just say black, but people just in general who are just complacent and just like this is just how it is. And it's like it doesn't have to be that way. you know, as I especially feel that way about purpose. But for the sake of this conversation, where people just have accepted defeat in their mindset or their finances, it just has to be like this, and it's like it doesn't, and it's
Mhm.
unfortunate. And I've learned that I'm so enraged by it, and most people are just kind of sitting like, "Hey, this guy's crazy," but
Mhm.
really, it's just because it's a passion of mine, and I just hate to see people just, okay with less.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that what you feel is basically the same things that got us change in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Because if it wasn't for a civil rights movement, if it wasn't for, us wanting to get rid of slavery, we would never have it. We would still be slaves. Just
Right.
think about that because somewhere along the lines, a Harriet Tubman comes along. She trying to get people up out of there. Let's find your freedom, dog. You know what I mean?
Hey,
And
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because there's so many people, for the non-believers, this is obviously a faith-based podcast as well.
Mhm.
But I know a lot of times people will say, "Well, where was God during slavery?" And people say that slavery, and we can go into the depths of it was a punishment, but
Mhm.
whatever. But what I do know about, which I won't get into all that, but what I do know about slavery and about Harriet Tubman, it was actually recorded that God gave her prophetic dreams on how
Yeah.
to get people out.
Yep.
So when people say, "Where was he?" Well,
He was working through her.
right.
See, and that's what really another thing that bothers me because even then we could fast forward now. We're just waiting on whoever the prophetic person is right now. They're
Yeah.
just not moving yet.
Yeah.
Or maybe they are. We just haven't seen them yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we're just waiting for the moment. And everybody, I think the drown, like it's so much noise in social media that you tend to get overlooked. Here's one thing I can't stand, and I don't care anymore. I really don't like it. If you're always watching the news, which is probably 99 or maybe 95, you know what? I know it just a little bit more. 92% negative. What the heck you think you're gonna think all the time?
Yeah.
Negativity.
Right.
Stop watching that crap, man. It's okay to like see, oh yeah, same stuff. Let me turn it. Because that's all it is. You're gonna see who died this week. You're gonna see where the latest shootings were. You're gonna see some sports. You're gonna see weather. Oh yeah, there go the president again. Dude, what's new? It's the same pattern every time. Why do you consistently do that? That's why I read my news because there are so many more topics when you read the news than when you watch it.
Yeah.
And so like stuff like that, man, and oh boy, I tell you, I just and of course you understand most people who watch the news are usually elders.
Yep.
And they say that's the only way they could get they news. I'm like, hey, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But what I'm telling you now is you're gonna see way more negative stuff than you are positive.
Yeah.
They taught me that in the military. It's called propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And until everybody knows what that word is, I'm gonna keep saying it.
But it's funny you say that, because my grandma, she's 90 and she watches the news religiously, and she'll just be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I'm just so nervous." And I'm like, "Well, that's because you watch the news all day and
Mm-hmm.
you live in a state of fear." And
It's so
so
funny. I'm sorry. I started laughing because I just thought about a conversation me and my grandma had, and she was like, "Oh yeah, your sister taking her son to Charlotte," and I said, she said, "I told her to be careful." I said, "Be careful. What's going on in Charlotte that
yeah,
I'm unaware of?" She said, "Well, you know that girl got stabbed on that train." I said, "Grandma, how long ago was that?"
that's what I'm saying. It can happen anywhere.
I said, people are getting shot right outside your front door, and you talking about all the way in Charlotte.
Right.
I kid you not. That's what I said, dude. I'm like, are you serious? But yeah, I digress.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate. And even so many, I feel like older people don't even realize they have depression. So many people I feel like don't realize they have depression.
Yeah.
They don't even they don't even realize that. And that's the funny thing about that, because it's like, I wonder if we talk about the news, I'm sure it worsens any symptoms you already had. I thankfully I'm happy that I don't even want to indulge in the news in any way. But I believe that a lot of these shows and movies and things are putting people in fear and helping and forcing them to just fully just launch head first into depression, head first into some cases suicidal ideation. Don't even realize a lot of these shows push that in a weird, or make it kind of like they fantasize it in a weird way, I feel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since we already talking about faith, man, how did they keep you up? How did they keep you afloat, man?
So when I was really deep in depression, I know for a fact that that's when I was going to therapy. And then when I went the second time, I more so, it was funny because God had me go to therapy early, because I went to therapy the second time right before depression hit. So it was like the perfect, he set me up for it to deal, to cope through it. And so for me, it was reading my Bible, was definitely praying, going to church, going to therapy, and then getting the issues and the problems and seeing things, and then turning those into prayer points, and then maybe doing deep studies with myself, even just to, while still going to church, while still watching sermons, because let's keep it 100, YouTube is wonderful. And I do believe that you need to have an in-person service church, at home. But if you are struggling with unforgiveness, and your pastor might not, even though you go to church every Sunday or most Sundays, he might not be talking about it that Sunday. But if you could do a deep dive on YouTube and find so many different pastors speaking on unforgiveness, that that really can bombard your subconscious with the need for, the importance of it, or have a therapist who may be faith-based. My second one really wasn't, but my first one was, and maybe can give you recommendations for books to read, or hey, they might even say, check out this sermon. They might even say, hey, I want you to try it, because they understand.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, it was just needed. It just really helped with me seeing things differently, because I know some Black men, some don't shame it, but then they'll still make comments like, I don't see myself paying for advice. And that's the problem I have, because I'm like, you're not paying for advice. And then people sometimes say that their friends are their therapists, and I'm like, well, your friend is an idiot. And
Yeah.
I'm like, your friend is not. I'm all for opening up, but if you're really seeking them for advice in every situation, and these life or death situations, I'm like, no.
And now I want to go back to that statement you just made, paying for advice.
Yeah.
Now, you might not pay for it through a therapist, but what if you turn to that bottle? You don't think that costs money?
Yeah.
What if you turn to drugs? You don't think that costs money? You can't get it for free.
Yeah.
Like, just think about that. So you might not be paying for it through a therapist that could help you, but you might be paying for it through a bottle or a pill or some other substance that can hurt you. Which one you want to choose? Like, come on, man. The choice is yours, by the way. Just everybody listening, the choice is yours.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted to highlight that because that phrase is very, that's a powerful one there. That's truly powerful.
Your body language changed when I said it. I hate it. I really do.
Yeah. So man, you talk a lot about purpose, man. And in your darkest moments, what made you realize your story wasn't over though?
Well, part of it, like I said, this has been the whole this episode. I feel like it's so prophetic for so many people, but I feel like for me, it was more so like, I don't believe I'd be being fought this hard if it wasn't for a reason. And I just felt like there was more to life. One thing I remember reading, which I said I was going to read every year, and I'm actually about to start back reading, is Cindy Trim's book, The Soul Fast. And I'm a writer, so her tagline is, "It's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you." And I did it
Hey, come on now.
I've done it every year since 2016. I think I might have missed a year or two between then, but I said I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to read it. again, and I got the revelation to read it again. And it's just really about unpacking who you are, because it was the first time I did it, I wasn't being 100% honest, but the second time I was, because the first time I read it, it was like, it asked you really a lot of questions, like, what would you do in life if you could do it and not get money? What
I'm
would
sorry.
you?
I'm laughing because I feel like that first time when you read it, you was like, "Why is she asking all these questions?"
Right, I was still in denial, talking about, oh, I want to be a sports attorney. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It really deep dives into questions like, what are the things you like about yourself? What are the things that make you happy? Name 5 traits about yourself. And I remember when the first time I went to therapy, they asked me to name 5 things about myself, and I couldn't name anything. She said, name like all the things you don't like. And she said, name 5 things. And she said, and I was like, I don't know. And I couldn't even tell you. You know what I mean? So things like that. And a lot of times, even men don't even realize you can't even name 5 things you like about yourself. But
I know I can name one.
besides,
I know I can name one. My creativity.
right. But some people, but if they say take your looks away, what else can you name? You don't know.
Majority of people can't. Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start back reading that soon, and that's a nice little book.
You making me want to go find 5 things now.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, here's a big one. And I like this. I like this. There is a fine line between sadness and suicidal thoughts, okay? What would you say to someone that really thought about, ending it all?
It's hard to say, think about your family and friends, because again, you were suicidal at one point, so was I. And that's kind of the last thing on your mind.
Oh yeah.
And when we say by definition, it's technically not selfish, it's not, it's one of those things, because technically it's not. And by definition, it's not, but it still kind of is. It's just that you're not in your right mind. So it's like you can't say that that person is selfish for feeling that way. But what I can say is, ask yourself, why do you think, some people I know their faith ain't all the way there. But just to think about this, why do you think whatever force is trying to take you out? Why do you think that they're trying, whatever you believe in? Because I know everybody don't believe it. We believe in Jesus over here. I know everybody don't. But you say, why do you think something is wanting me to go away? What is it about me that got me? Then I didn't been deceived into think that I'm nothing and that I should just go away. But what is it that is trying to force me to just silence my voice and just go away all the way? What am I? It's something that must be in me that I don't see, because usually you don't see it, and if you are a believer, I would say pray and ask God to open your eyes, remove the scales from your eyes so that you can see what God sees, and just allow me to just, because some people, I think they get caught up in, I know with me growing up, I would always say, hear my parents give me compliments, but people my age never gave me compliments. I didn't start looking like something until in recent years. So, when they would be like, oh, you're handsome and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Nobody my age says that. And of course, parents will say things like, oh, well, they just, kids are just being kids. I'm like, I'm 16. They're still not saying it. They're still just being kids. Like, we was little kids, okay, but 16, come on now, that's not the case. But I would say, ask God to open your eyes to see you the way he sees you. Find out, if you are sad and you are thinking, man, maybe I don't want to be here, get a piece of paper, and I'm taking your job, but get a piece of paper and just write down what you like about yourself. What, maybe call somebody and say, hey, I'm feeling, if there's anybody that you could call and just say, hey, I'm feeling this way. I know so many people who did an episode, one of the podcasts I work for, and he had Kevin Hines, and Kevin Hines survived jumping off the Golden State Bridge. I would even say bombard your mind with YouTube of people who tried to commit suicide and survive, because he said he just wanted to be seen. And as he jumped, he lived off of jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. And he said in that split second, which most people probably think when they are committing suicide, but we will never know because they,
They
passed.
don't
He
live. Yeah.
said in that split second, he said, "This is the biggest mistake of my life."
Yeah.
But most people think that and they're gone. He was able to live and tell the tale. So
Mhm.
I would just really maybe go on YouTube if you can and just look up people who survive suicidal ideation. Just see what they saw on the other side, because it does get better on the other side. And it's people, whatever you're going through, it's somebody who'd have been through what you've been through probably 10 times over and are able to have lived it. So what you're going through is not anything new. Trust me. There's nothing new you're going through. Not dismissing what you're going through, saying it's not hard. I'm just saying that what you're going through, someone has been through before, and somebody can talk you through.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I met a guy through a lady. How did she find me? I think it was because I was the vice president of the Blinded Veterans Association for the Carolina Regional Group, and I think with him having been Army, um, he was in the National Guard for the Army, but I think they were trying to find some resources because he tried to unalive himself.
Mm.
Why? Because he was going through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people think that like unaliving themselves is usually because someone has just got laid off. Could be. Some
Right.
people think that unaliving themselves is like, oh, they fell off, like they don't have any more money, they're bankrupt. It could be, but it could be a whole lot of other things, man. He just wanted to have a family,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't want him anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and kind of like what you said earlier, man, it's not selfish. It's usually because they wanted to be seen.
Yeah.
So, is it selfish that I want you to see me?
Right.
If is it selfish that I want to have a family? Because that's all he was wanting. I still have communications with him, by the way, and I need to give him a call and update how I've been and see how he's doing. But this man literally took a shotgun to the face. He did this himself, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
and lives to tell the story. Lives to talk about it. It's hard to understand him sometimes, but I'm all ears every
Yeah.
time he opens his mouth. Why? Because I see him here. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what happened to you. I see you here.
Yeah.
And when I talk to Steve, man, listen, he he doesn't say much, but when he does speak, you hear him. What do I mean by that? This man can tell you what's going on. He'll tell you what he's been up to. He's doing great, by the way. Finding a place to live and all that stuff, and had to have surgery to get things done, fixed, so he can talk better, speak and talk better. These different things, and I'm just like all ears for the updates, man.
Yeah.
And I still remember the first time I was with him. We got to sign him out of the care facility he was at, and we and got him a milkshake.
Mm.
Man, he was loving it, absolutely loving it. And we might not have been able to, like, you had to lean in real close to hear him and understand him. But darn it if I wasn't listening, brother. Like that's what I'm getting at. I was listening to every word,
Yeah.
because I wanted him to know he was heard. He's still here for a reason. And I pray that he finds his purpose, because it's people like that like I tend to connect to somehow, man. Um and that's like kind of like this next question I'm going to ask you, when it comes to connection anyway. But it's just like, you need somebody
Yeah.
to talk to. So with this question, how big was community for you? Like whether it was family, therapy, brotherhood in the process.
So I think for me, so at the time, I really didn't have any. I told a few people I was going to therapy at the time, but not that many. Um, but it was more so just happy with the therapist. I could talk to somebody about everything that's going on and not feel like, because sometimes we do tell people things and they kind of get silent, or they tell us like, oh, why are you still worried about that? Or, they say those kind of comments, and they don't mean harm, but it's just what they do. So it's good to have a therapist who might, not even trying to scare nobody off, but who might be cracking up later after the story that you told them, but you would never know. And they legally can't tell nobody. So, it just, that's my thing. Cause it's like, even if you laughing at me, look, I know you can't tell nobody, so I ain't tripping. But, it's just good to have that. For me, I think a community kind of was built. I kind of built one unintentionally with the podcast. Cause like I said, the podcast started before podcasting was a thing. Yeah. So, and I noticed people just would start telling me stuff. I remember when I first did my very first season episode about depression, and this guy, he came up to me. I think he's a pastor now. And he came up to me. He was just like, the homecoming tailgate. He was like, man, that episode really touched me. I'll be going through so much, but I can't tell nobody, so it's you have to be the voice before the voiceless in a sense. And by you having a voice, people will then feel like they can have one too. And then they can hear other people and they can say, oh, I'm not the only one. It's not just me. And that's a lot of times what it is. People think that it's just them. They're the only ones. And like I said, everyone is not as bold as me now. I wasn't always this way. And some people will never be. But if they can see somebody like me who can say, yeah, I'm this bold now, but I wasn't always, and I can speak on these things, just know, it's okay to talk about it. And if nobody else will listen, I'll listen because I'm gonna laugh. But that's just how we do. We laugh at me, I laugh at you. It's just what it is.
Yeah, man. No, seriously, I was sitting there listening to you. I was not always this way. Now I could talk up and down all day long to family.
Yeah.
But when it came to outside of that, I don't know you. Yeah. Why are you talking to me? You know what I'm saying? And so, but yeah, that's just a little besides the point. But yeah, man, for my next question I got for you, and we kind of touched on this just a little bit, and we could rehash it out. But for those who are battling depression, man, what's some great ways that you could show up for somebody without making it worse?
I think, for example, I know this guy, he's on the other side of it. And I know when he was going through some things and they said some of his friends seen cuts on his arms. Sometimes, and like I said, he's good now. But I think that what they did was they just started like having like little gatherings and like kind of like, but didn't make it feel like, are you okay? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
It was just like, we all know, you don't know that we know. It's kind of like we tricking you into something. And it's like, we're just showing you as much love as possible with no, badgering you with questions. It's just bringing people around to make you feel love, or going places that, forcing yourself. It can be a fight, especially if you are depressed. That I know from experience. But if you can just get muster enough energy to just go and force yourself to be around some people that love you and who won't make it worse, and maybe who will, you'll know that you're gonna laugh with this person, or maybe you can go and just like you said, go out to eat, and then one-on-one. And then if you're scared to talk about them, maybe you're not a drinker, maybe you do drink a little bit, maybe just go one-on-one and get you a drink just to. And I'm not encouraging drinking, but I mean, if that'll force you to talk and it'll save your life, then hey, because when you get the truth comes out, you'll get to drinking with that one friend one-on-one, and you loved and told them everything.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, we kind of already hit on this with the conversations, man. Just go have a conversation. Shoot, if they looking bad enough to the point where they like, man, I can't go out and be seen like this. Hey, you ever been to the Waffle House?
Yeah, because they let anybody in there.
Hey, listen to me. You ever been to the Waffle House at 2, 3 in the morning? You don't know what you gonna see up in there. It's holiday. Look, it's Halloween every day.
Every day.
No, but seriously, man, like hey man, you can come to my house. I'll cook for you.
Yeah.
I'll come to your house. If you really don't want to leave,
right,
I will cook there. I'll leave. If you don't want me to cook, I'll bring you your favorite dish. Make it easy. It does not have to be a difficult thing, man. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people that like trying to solve or problem solve, shall I say. Um, they overcomplicate and overthink these things.
Yeah.
Listen, man, you can bring me a piece of cake, a
Mm.
piece of pie. Just make sure it's one that I like, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it can be that simple, and we can just talk. I'm glad somebody noticed a physical abuse. That's
Mhm.
physical abuse to yourself. By the way, since we do talk about faith here on this podcast, demons are real.
Yeah.
And that's what that was, by the way.
Exactly.
For those who don't know, that's what that was. I've seen that in high school. And guess what? We stopped picking on that person because we knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
What that demon was telling them was, you see how they making fun of you? Don't nobody like you. You see how they treating you? Don't nobody care about you. And if you stop what you're doing, things will change. But if we had kept going, guess what would have happened? It would have got worse. They could have retaliated. They could have even did a come to the did a Columbine or something. Come to the school with guns. You like think about that. What if they would have came through there stabbing people?
Yeah.
You know, these things happen not by random acts of violence. Something led up to this. Just like the lady who reported, she's on trial right now for suing the school, I think principal, for $40 million.
Mm.
Why? Why do you ask? Because she got shot by one of her students who had a gun and she saw it. Not the day he shot her. Not 2 days before he shot her. Not 3 days. She's been seeing this gun and reporting it. And they didn't do nothing about it until he actually shot her.
Yeah.
Why do I have to wait until I get shot for you to understand?
Did she live?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
She's suing for 40 million.
Did she
She
get
is
it?
suing for $40 million right now.
Oh, she
I
did
don't
sue.
know. They're still on trial.
Mm.
But that was her testimony. You know,
Yeah.
she was telling the story of how it all happened. And this is like that's what I'm bringing up though. These are moments in time where it's like, why does it have to get to that?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with suicide. Why did it get to this? Because something happened. It wasn't like, oh, he just offed him. No. Oh, she just let it, she was done. No, something was happening. Now, hear me clear. When I say ing, that means that was a continuation thing.
Yeah.
And nobody was paying attention. So that's all I want to say on that, man, as far as, touching on the back end of that question.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, man. I ain't got too much more for you, but what message do you hope your listeners take from your message?
I hope that they see that if I can do it, you can do it. I'm just like you. I'm no better than you. You know, I hope that if they see, if he can do it, I can do it. If he can't get over it, I can get over it. You know, if he can talk about these things, I can talk about these things. When I tell you, I had self-esteem that was low in hell, like low and low self-worth and all these things. And I mean, you know, I've done a combination of things on the outward as well, but a lot of it was internal. So I just want people to understand that, you know, everybody's not meant to be out here speaking publicly about everything, but you can still know that whatever you're going through, somebody's overcoming it.
Yeah, man. I like that. Yeah, so if you could describe your current season in one word, what would it be and why?
Supernatural.
Supernatural.
And the reason being is because whatever happens to me in this season, it has to be because of that. You know, there are so many
Mhm.
things that happened this year that really even started off this year that were of that. And and supernatural in a good way. But it was some bad stuff too. But for the most part, just because it's gonna have to be God's gonna have to move supernaturally for things to happen, because I think I would be exhausted doing everything in my own power.
Nice. All right. So before we wrap, what's one thing you want people fighting through a season of depression to hold on to?
Keyword season, and seasons
Mm.
aren't forever, and it gets better. It really does. It really does. Even though it seems like it'll never get over, you'll never get over it. Even with little things, it's not even, say you're not even depressed, say you're not even suicidal, but when you stuck on somebody and you think you ain't gonna never get over them, and then
Mhm.
one day you just don't care no more. It hits everybody the same. It's like one day you look like, I don't even like so like that no more. Like, and you just over it and you don't even really see it coming. So when that season is over, you won't see it coming, but it's going to end.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's nice. And I was thinking the same thing. It's just a moment in time.
Yeah.
We can get through it if he. And this is how I think about things. If God brought you to it, He'll bring you through it.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have to use Him for that.
Right.
You can't just be like, "I got this." No. You're gonna need that help. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna need that grace and mercy the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's beautiful and well eloquently said. And now we're gonna wrap this thing up by saying, family, listen, I want y'all to hear me clearly. Depression does not mean defeat. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that one more time. Depression does not mean defeat. All right. And remember, just because you can't see it doesn't mean you can't achieve it. Peace out.
All right. Have a good one.